Hey guys, this is Torna, and today I just wanted to talk about Descending and Descend. Now, the reason I'm talking about these is because I went to the pre-release yesterday, and we had some people there who had cards with Descending and Descend, you know, being a major feature of Lost Caverns of Ixalan. However, it seems that not very many people actually understood how it worked, including I actually had to tell the judge how it worked by bringing up the article, because this is very important. I'll link the article down below so that way you're able to read it, but I just wanted to kind of go through it because it is something that I do think people kind of could struggle with. So Descending and Descend. So basically, descending is the action of basically it checks at a certain point, have you descended this turn? And if you have descended, then, you know, it will do something simple. So for example, the Micro Tyrant here, when you've descended a certain number of times, it'll create a certain number of black fungus creatures based on how many times you've descended. Then we've got other stuff like Descend X, where it's basically checking how many permanent cards are in your graveyard. So it seems like, you know, basically the way it works is a permanent card has to go from wherever into your graveyard. That's it. It just has to be a card that has entered into your graveyard. Now, it doesn't need to be from anywhere in particular. It could be from your hand, could be from your deck, could be from the battlefield. If a card goes from there into your graveyard, that means that it has descended. Now, there's important parts of this that we need to keep in mind. The first part here is that it says a permanent card. So it cannot be an instant or a sorcery. It has to be a creature, a planeswalker, a land, or an enchantment. I believe there's something else that I'm missing. Basically anything that is permanently sitting on the field. So not an instant or a sorcery, basically. The other thing is that it has to be a permanent card that is put into your library. Into your graveyard. A token is not one of those. So there are a couple different notes here. So note number one, a permanent card here is an artifact, battle, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker card. Tokens are not cards, and while tokens are put into your graveyard before they cease to exist, that action does not count as a player having descended. It has to be a card that stays in your graveyard, at least for, 5 seconds. It has to be a card that, could potentially just stay in there. A token will not stay in there. It is just a token. It's, once it hits your graveyard, it ceases to exist, and boom, it's gone. So that means that, for a couple examples here, the Treasure Cove here. So this one here transforms from the treasure map. You can sacrifice a treasure with it. So you're sacrificing a treasure token. This treasure, or this, if you just, crack the treasure yourself, neither of those two would proc it because the treasure does not stay in your graveyard. It is not a permanent. It is just a token. If it's on the battlefield, it's permanent then, but once it hits your graveyard, it just ceases to exist. The maps are the same. That you sacrifice them, sure, they go into your graveyard, but then they just instantly cease to exist. So therefore, they would not count. Any kind of token wouldn't. The gnome tokens, any dinosaur tokens you have, the fungi tokens, they won't count. That's the major one here that I just wanted to kind of bring up because, I had someone who was playing this exact card, the Treasure Cove here. They sacrificed the treasure to draw a card, and then they were like, the treasure's gone in here, now I've descended, now my thing's procced. And I'm like, sorry, man, but that is not how it works. So I had to bring it up there. So note number two, it doesn't matter if the cards are still in that player's graveyard. If they've gone in there, then they stay in there. Now for Descend X, it will matter because they need to still be in there when it is checking for this. So when it's checking if it has flying, it needs to check if it is. However, for this one here, it just means that they have been in there. If you use something else to kind of pull them back out of your graveyard, that's fine. They still count having been in your graveyard. However, it's basically because otherwise it would punish people who play like decks that like want to play from their graveyard kind of thing. So they don't need to still be in there, but they need to have been in there. The other thing here is that there's cards that check at the end of your, at the beginning of your end step. It checks at the beginning of your end step, have you descended this turn? So they don't need to be on the mat, on the board when you've descended, so you can play them after you've already descended. That's fine. However, you do need to have descended prior to the beginning of your end step. So you can't, get to your end step and then sacrifice something there and then count that as being descended. No, it needs to have been before that end step happened. It only checks it once at the start of your end step. So something like this guy here, the Stalactite Stalker, it checks if you've descended and then it puts a +1/+1 onto him. However, it will only again check it at the very start of that end step. It doesn't matter if you get to there, you sacrifice a creature and boom, now you've descended. No, that's not how it works. Save it for next turn and then descend. But that's it. I just want to kind of quickly cover these things because I found that, there was a few kind of misunderstanding about them. Maybe I'm kind of completely off and, it was just an anomaly at my pre-release. Who knows? But I just want to kind of go through and explain how exactly this works. So again, I'll just quickly cover it. This one here checks for permanents that have been in your graveyard, not tokens. Anything that is a permanent, so artifact, battle, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalkers, it will check if they've been in there and then from there do whatever it says. So this one here will create X amount of fungi tokens based on how many times you've descended. And then the descend X here, which is the ones that just basically check, hey, do you have 4 or more permanents in your graveyard? Yes, you do. Therefore, you've got the descend bonus, the passive essentially from this. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think. I hope you guys had a great day and goodbye.